Hi, welcome back to another episode. It's been quite some time since I posted. I was posting a lot when my baby was between I don't know, like 1 and 2 years old, and then it just got really crazy. And so I'm back. I now have a 2-year-old, and I am 32 weeks pregnant myself, and wanted to come back because I've been having a lot of creativity come up around stuff I want to share about pregnancy. And something that came to me today, actually during a prenatal massage, which was very nice, is that pregnancy doesn't have to suck. Like, it doesn't have to hurt as much as it does for some people, and it doesn't have to be as uncomfortable as it is. I have quite a few friends who've had babies in the last year or even 2 years since I had mine. And sometimes I hear them complain about things, rightfully so, that suck about being pregnant. And I'm like, oh, but have you tried this? Have you tried that? And, with this being my second rodeo now, I feel pretty comfortable with recommending things at this point after doing all my own research on stuff and looking into the safety of things and different products that I relied on religiously for both pregnancies. So yeah, just stuff I want to share with people out there who might be suffering with things that are small, but the small things add up, right? Like being a little sweaty or a little itchy or the heartburn, things like that. And the bigger things like morning sickness and major sciatica pain, the whole gamut. I can only speak to the stuff I've experienced, right? So I haven't experienced every single symptom that's possible in pregnancy, thank God. But I've experienced quite a bit between the two pregnancies, which in some ways are exactly the same, in some ways very different. So with this series, I would like to tackle sleep and general comfort. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And then definitely aches and pains, digestive stuff will be another separate video, like morning sickness, heartburn, constipation kind of things. I want to do a special episode on what happens if you get sick while pregnant, specifically if you get a cold or something like that, especially if you have a toddler that's bringing home daycare germs like I do. I found quite a few things that help with that. And then I'll probably do one short episode on things that are not necessarily complaint or pain or discomfort related, but things that I do that just help me to feel better about myself and about the way I look. Obviously pregnancy, people today, my massage therapist was like, you're glowing. And I was like, I'm not a glower in pregnancy. As you can see, I don't glow. So, but there are certain things that I do that do make me feel like I glow. And they're pretty easy and accessible. And so I will share those things in another special episode. So before I get into sleep and general comfort stuff today, I did want to mention that first of all, I'm a product girly. If there's a product out there that will help me, I will purchase it and swear by it if it works, right? So I'm going to talk about a lot of different products when it comes to this whole series. And I understand that is just my personality. I said, I'm a product girly. I understand it's not accessible to everybody. And so when possible, I'll also try to mention alternatives that, are more accessible or even free, or ways you can get things, for cheap or free, or different sales I've seen run on these things. And obviously I'm not sponsored by anything. Hello, I have 4 viewers. So, this is literally just stuff that I've tried and that I really like. So to get started, throughout this whole series, I'm going to mention, I can think of 2 products or 2 items that I'm going to mention over and over again that will help with several things. So if you're pregnant, you might want to just get these things right off the bat if you can. The first is Unisom. This is the Kirkland brand. You're going to hear it recommended to you a million times if you have morning sickness. Yes. It's also safe to take in pregnancy to help you sleep. And it comes in really handy if you get a cold or allergies, even when you're pregnant and you've just got the runny nose and just the itchiness and the discomfort. It's totally safe to take. And when I'm sick, it helps me to sleep through the cold and helps to dry everything up. So it comes up quite a bit throughout the series. And so I will recommend it. A couple things to note is that Unisom had to go ahead and make things really fucking confusing for us. So you want to make sure that you're buying just the regular Unisom where the active ingredient is doxylamine succinate, 25 milligrams. So that's what these are. They're just, if you read the active ingredient, it's actually diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl, which is not as safe. And also just, it's going to make you feel shitty and it's not going to help your nausea. So make sure whatever you buy, whatever brand, I don't care. I buy like Amazon brand, or my friend Alexa gave me, she had extras of this Kirkland brand one, doxylamine succinate, 25 milligrams. Okay. Stock up on it. Okay. The other thing I'm going to recommend over and over and over and over again is magnesium. It's going to come up when we talk pretty much every episode in this series. So when we talk about sleep, when we talk about constipation, when we talk about anxiety, when we talk about restless legs, or different like aches and pains, like I am going to talk about like carpal tunnel, things like that. The magnesium just keeps coming up over and over again. So there's different forms of it. I specifically take magnesium glycinate, which is the form that will help you to sleep and can also help with like the restless legs and things like that. And then there's also magnesium citrate, which is going to help with like the constipation and anxiety. So I like this brand Calm, and this is a powder that you drink. And then magnesium also comes in topical forms. So magnesium oil spray, really good for sleep and for restless legs. And some kind of magnesium rub is another way to do it if you don't want to do the oil. And again, that will help you with sleep and with different aches and pains, restless leg syndrome. And I'll talk more about that in today's episode. So yeah, if you're newly pregnant or you're as far along as me or almost about to have your baby, those are, I would just, if you haven't tried yet, Unisom and magnesium might help with whatever your ail you're experiencing currently. Okay, so sleep and pregnancy. For me, the first pregnancy, I feel like I slept pretty well throughout, and then near the end, like getting more uncomfortable. It was hard to sleep or getting restless legs. But this pregnancy, sleep has been really tricky for me the whole time. Like just having insomnia, like right off the bat. Thankfully, my morning sickness gave me a break overnight. I wasn't sick overnight, but it was, hard to sleep. It always felt like I drank caffeine and I was up like constantly all night. So there's a couple things that I swear by. One, pregnancy pillow. I have the full body type where it looks like a big pillow that you're like laying in the middle of, like a big U-shaped pillow. A really popular brand on Amazon is Pharmedoc, like Pharmedoc. And they come in different shapes. I prefer the one that encapsulates your full body because I like to have my back supported, my head supported, my arms all the way down to like letting my feet be supported and like float. It's just so comfortable. So even before, don't wait until you're big and your belly's heavy and it's hanging and pulling and making you uncomfortable. Don't wait. Just as soon as my morning sickness hit, I was like, I'm doing everything I can to help myself sleep and just be comfortable when I can. And so the pregnancy pillow right away, like as soon as you can. There is another type of pregnancy pillow. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of types, but another one that's really popular is the BabyBub right here. These are kind of expensive. I don't know. I want to say they are more than $50, but I got this one for free off of Buy Nothing. So what it is it's basically two pieces, like one supports your back, one supports your belly. It's just a little more minimalistic than having the big ass pillow in your bed, and it's adjustable. So you can make it as wide or as narrow as you need to. And then it has this little thing, which like, I'm not fully sure what it's for, but I feel like it's just for like extra lumbar support. But this fucking thing, I'm tossing and turning so much. By the morning, I don't know where that thing is. If you do go with something like a BabyBub or a dupe off Amazon, few benefits is it doesn't take up your whole bed and like knock your partner out of bed. I also switched to this later on in my first pregnancy when I started to get too sweaty to use the body pillow. And it's also good if you're traveling and you don't want to bring your giant body pillow. If you are going to use the BabyBub, I would recommend still having something that you put between your knees just to help take the pressure off your low back, your sciatica, just give your legs a break overnight. Or you can get something like this. This is specifically a knee pillow. Again, kind of annoying because every time I turn, it goes who knows where. Like I have to remember all night long to move it with me when I flip flop. But yeah, hands down, I would highly recommend the full body pillow. The one I have has like a cooling cover on it too, so I'm not as sweaty, but Once it's going to get to be too much, like too hot for me, if that happens again, then I would probably switch to the BabyBub. With that out of the way, when I was having a hard time sleeping early on in the pregnancy, of course, the midwife had recommended Unisom, right? Like a half to a full tab of Unisom, so 12.5 to 25 milligrams can help, especially with morning sickness. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. But some nights I just felt like it wasn't doing the trick, or I would wake up in the middle of the night and still, be tired, or I didn't like the way it made me feel in the morning. There was just like different reasons. Sometimes I didn't want to take the Unisom. So what finally ended up helping me was she recommended a hot shower before bed to just like help calm everything down. And that worked really well. If you have time, like take a nice hot shower before bed. She also recommended tea, and it was very hard to find a tea that was safe in pregnancy, and especially safe in the first trimester, because there's a lot of pregnancy teas out there, but they have red raspberry leaf tea in them, which is taken traditionally in the third trimester to help prep your body for labor. So it's not necessarily recommended in the first trimester. So lots of research, and I found Earth Mama Organic Peaceful Tea. This worked so well to help me to get to sleep. I was drinking it religiously every night once I found it. And I will say that when you look at the ingredients, there is a small amount of red raspberry leaf tea in there, and it's listed as the last ingredient. So I presume it's like the least amount in there. And some things say it's safe to take small amounts throughout pregnancy. Some say avoid it in the first trimester. So I actually wrote to the company, and the owner is a nurse as well. So I wrote to the company and said, hey, this says it's safe to take for your whole pregnancy, but there is red raspberry leaf tea in it. Like, what's up with that? And they were like, no, it's safe in the amounts that's in here to take during pregnancy, throughout the whole pregnancy. It's meant to be taken your whole pregnancy. So that was amazing. So the other things in it, lemon balm, chamomile, oat straw, and orange peel. It's probably the chamomile that's knocking me out. I don't know, but I would drink this every single night. Like I said, like for the first and well into the second trimester, and it would help me get to sleep. And it's just really calming. It has a really mild flavor. I can't describe it in any other way other than just like herbal tea. It just tastes like herbal tea. I'm not a big tea person, so I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, highly recommend. It's probably like $5-6 a box, maybe on Amazon, but I also have found it on Thrive Market really cheap. Like less, like even way less than $5 a box, and it was on sale, like $3-something a box. I haven't ever seen it in the store, like Sprouts or anything, but you could certainly find it for relatively inexpensive on Amazon, or like I said, Thrive. The other thing I have in my arsenal to help me sleep was magnesium citrate, as I mentioned. So this helps sleep in that it's I mean, this brand is called Calm, right? But any brand will work, but this one's called Calm. So it has a calming effect, and it just helps to induce sleep. The thing is, you want to actually look at the instructions, and it says to start out with a half teaspoon a day and gradually increase to 2 teaspoons. So you don't want to just jump right to the max dose, because it can cause some GI upset, or it could just make you more sleepy than you want to be. So I highly recommend starting with that half teaspoon. I think I ended up landing at like 1 teaspoon every day. Did the trick for me. So I would drink it before bedtime. This might sound kind of weird to some people. So it's fizzy, right? So you mix it with hot water to get the fizz out, and then you pour cold water in. That's how they recommend preparing it. So you're dissolving it in hot water and then adding your other fluid to it. I would actually dissolve it in hot water, and then I would add my peaceful tea bag and then fill it up the rest of the way with hot water. So I was basically drinking, this is raspberry lemon flavored, so like raspberry lemon herbal tea mixture. I would just one and done, get my magnesium in my peaceful tea. That was my little mocktail at night to help me to fall asleep. As I mentioned, this can also help with constipation, which it did help for me. So I'll bring this baby back in when I have the digestive episode. The other thing that was recommended by my acupuncturist was a topical magnesium. So as I showed in the beginning, there's a few options. This is magnesium oil spray, where you just spray it, you spray it right on yourself. And then this, I actually just picked up today after my massage. But this is, and you can buy this from lots of different brands. I don't know why I'm holding it like you can smell it, but this is a peppermint magnesium rub. Just adds a little layer of luxury to it. Not necessary, but felt like treating myself today. So this one's by 8 Sheep Organics, which I believe is pretty widely available. I've seen it online places. So any kind of topical magnesium, why it works. One, it's going to help with your restless leg syndrome and your Charlie horses. If you're getting those, I just started getting those in the last couple weeks. So it helps with that. But it also, if you put it specifically on the bottom of your feet where it's best absorbed, it has a calming effect similar to the magnesium citrate, actually. So it goes topical to systemic and it can actually help to be relaxing. Even when I was not pregnant, I would spray magnesium oil on the bottom of my feet nearly every night, especially if I was feeling a little more hyped up or needed some relaxation before bedtime. Word to the wise, if you're using this pure magnesium oil, magnesium is a salt. So if you just shaved your legs or something like that, you're not going to want to put this right on there because it will burn. Even if you didn't just shave your legs, oftentimes people experience some burning, tingling, itching when it comes to magnesium oil. And I read online that it's like, if your body really needs it and you're really deficient in magnesium, it's going to burn a little bit. So I just kind of, when I feel that, I'm like, okay, it's working. And so I just kind of don't worry about it. It goes away pretty quickly. So that's one thing to note. The other thing is like sensory wise, if you don't like the feeling of like greasiness and like, you know, your legs kind of like sticking to your sheets or your blanket or something like that, you might want to skip the oil spray and just go right to something like this that rubs in and absorbs more like a lotion. So that's why I got this, just a better option. It makes me feel like less of that sweaty feeling. The last form of magnesium I'll talk about, and again, I showed you this at the beginning, is the magnesium glycinate. And so this is just a supplement. These are 120 milligrams each. And I feel like my husband takes more than me, but the recommended, this is my husband's bottle. I haven't taken this in quite a bit. Let's see. So the recommended is to take 1 to 4 capsules daily. I was taking 2 and it would help me sleep really well. And I confirmed with my acupuncturist, like when it comes to all these different formulations, is it okay to be taking like the citrate, the glycinate, the topical? The topical is fine, is compatible with anything. So if you're rubbing it on your legs and your feet, there's no need to worry about your oral intake of it. Like if you're having too much, like don't worry about it. But my acupuncturist did recommend not taking both of these at the same time because it might make me too sleepy. So if I'm taking the citrate drink and then I'm going to bed and taking 2 capsules of the glycinate, it just might make you too sleepy. So I would do one or the other. Like for example, this was too, like any pill was like too harsh for me with my morning sickness. So I was just taking this with the tea and I slept just fine. And now I'm in a point where I'm not taking the tea anymore and I'm not as constipated. So I'm not using this. And then I'll bring this back in, the 2 capsules. So these 2 you might want to switch off, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your ability to take the topical. One thing I forgot to mention was cherry juice, tart cherry juice specifically. I don't know why, but it'll help you sleep, which is really interesting. So I was drinking like 6 ounces every morning, every night, and it did take about 2 weeks to get full effect. But after a week, I was sleeping a lot better. And after 2 weeks of it, I was definitely sleeping better. So I'm drinking this in the morning and then again around dinner time, and then making the peace tea with the magnesium in it, and then rubbing the oil all over my body before I go to bed. That seemed to do the trick for me, in addition to that hot shower. The other stuff I wanted to address in this episode is just like general comfort things, like sweating and itching, like things that affect you all day, but especially when you're sleeping. Sweating and just like that sticky feeling really affect me and don't let me sleep. So I have to religiously do a powder every night, like all over my body, especially like under my boobs and like between my legs and my low back, like wherever I sweat. I really like the brand Squeaky Cheeks. If you like a little scent, like it has like a little, you can get like a eucalyptus scented one or like an orange scented one. But when I ran out, I just wanted to try something new. And I've really been liking this one, the Mega Babe Body Dust. It comes just like this, like a regular powder, but it also comes in, I think it comes in a spray form as well, like a pump. And it also comes in like a brush or a brush that you can brush on, like just to keep it, I don't know, like so you don't have powder everywhere. But I find that this is pretty easy to use. And it's basically cornstarch, baking soda, some kind of root powder, aloe, I think a lavender scent, chamomile. I scanned it into Yuka and it had a good rating, so I felt comfortable using it. So again, that's Mega Babe, but really any run of the mill. I wouldn't recommend using anything talc based because it has been linked to like ovarian cancer and other icky things. So something that's like cornstarch or like mineral powder base. For the itching, coconut oil really helps. If your belly button's really itchy, the thing I have found that worked for me in both pregnancies is coconut oil with a few drops of tea tree oil in it. Because I don't know if the itching is the stretching or if it's like actually like bacteria or fungus that gets in there. I don't know. It's so uncomfortable. So I always make sure I clean my belly button with like an unscented pH balance cleanser of some sort. Rinse dry really well. And then a little bit of coconut oil and tea tree oil seems to do the trick. For stretch marks and like literally the physical feeling of your body stretching, coconut oil is cheap and it will do the trick. But my friend got me turned on to this French brand Patyka in my first pregnancy. And so I swear by this stuff for stretch marks, for itching, for whatever. You can use it postpartum. It's safe to put all over and then still breastfeed. And last but not least, when it comes to itching down there, like your vulva's itching and you're uncomfortable and you can't sleep, I looked at so many different products and I'm like, what can I put up or in there that's like safe for the baby? The best product I have found, the safest, is VagiBiom. It's kind of expensive. I think this box is 5 suppositories for $17 at Walmart. But when I got it, I realized you only do one a week. So it's basically more than a month's supply for 17 bucks. And it's got hyaluronic acid in it, which moisturizes, lactic acid, which is naturally found in your vagina anyways, but it just helps to restore the balance, and then prebiotics and probiotics. And it's been working wonders. And to only have to do it once a week is really nice. And then lastly, I'm obsessed, pregnant or not, with these Honeypot, I don't know what that was, these Honeypot cooling herbal infusion mint pantiliners. They're good for just general comfort, but also after you use the VagiBiom, if you have some discharge, these are really nice to have, and they have a cooling effect. So some people hate that. I love it. I've been using these for years. They have mint, aloe vera, and lavender in them, and they're an organic cotton cover. And then the last thing I'll say about sleep is, if you're the kind of person who it's more mental, like your mind is going, you have a lot to think about when you're pregnant and just not pregnant, right? Like our minds are racing in this day and age. I really like finding a sleep meditation that works for you. I used to listen to Yoga Nidra almost every single night on the Insight Timer app. Like there's a million on there. Like you can find any Yoga Nidra. The Deep Sleep app by Andrew Johnson, I believe it's free, and it talks you into falling asleep naturally. And he recommends using it like every night for several weeks. So I was using that to help me fall back asleep. And then Andrew Johnson also has a separate meditation on Insight Timer called Back to Sleep. And I would use that if I woke up in the middle of the night and my mind was racing, and I couldn't fall back asleep. It's especially good for new moms who are up constantly all hours of the night with your newborn or your young baby, and then you have a hard time falling back asleep yourself. And that's the worst because you have to be up a few more hours to do more things for them. I highly recommend the Back to Sleep meditation on Insight Timer. Again, that's a free app as well. So that's what I've got for you guys for sleep and general comfort stuff. I hope you found something helpful to help you get to sleep, to help your itching, to help your sweating. And yeah, keep tuning into this series as I cover the whole pregnant body head to toe.